my dear listeners. I was having this most engaging conversation at Trader Joe's tonight with a young woman named Katie, who obviously had a Pisces or a Sagittarian rising sign. It occurred to me while talking with her that there was an eclipse at 2 degrees Scorpio yesterday, which had the nature of Pluto and Mars in its ever wholesome vibrations. I say wholesome because the universe must be wholesome in its entirety. How could it be otherwise? Although we do have to admit, us mortals sure do struggle with good and evil. Anyways, while checking me out with my loaf of Kalamata bread, wine, and kefir, she said, "You could tell me anything you want about the Romans, and I will believe it." I, your dear narrator, thought to myself, well, I should explain the Roman curse tablets to her and see if she is telling the truth and will believe anything I tell her. Thus I said, the Romans used to write people's names on tablets, along with curses aimed at those people, whether of love or malice, sometimes practical things like muting a judge's voice, sometimes true evil, like wishing for so-and-so to get sick and die, and commonly for that ever common magic to cause passion and love to arise. They would take these tablets to large fire pits on astrologically appropriate days and hours. Then they would hurl them into the pits. The common belief of these dastardly Romans was that if the tablet melted, the curse would be true. I looked at her slyly, and I said, "True or false?" And she replied, "True." Then I said, the Roman elite government banned the use of these curse tablets, and they required that anyone caught practicing this form of magic would then be put to death. Punishment by death. In my mind, this means that they believed such arcane rituals of power worked, and were afraid of the public starting to use them on large corporations, which were at that time and at this time destroying the earth for greed and profit, and thus making our planet uninhabitable for humans. But that is just a modern-day fantasy of mine. I apologize for the digression. "True or false?" I said to her. She smiled with a sparkle in her eye, and she said, "True." To which I added, "But the Roman elite in the far-flung frontiers of the Gauls would use these curse tablets any way that they could. They would use them as military legions, much like the fantastic series Britannia does, because on the frontiers the legions were the law, and so these cursed tablets became a weapon of theirs." But immediately the idea came about that it was because the corporations were using image magic, and the people needed to start using image magic back in order to help the entire world understand that if humanity does not end corporate capital greed and consumption of resources for unsustainable lifestyles, we are all going to die as a species. I apologize again. As you can see, the narrator is affected by the Scorpio eclipse. This should be evident to any of his beautiful and intelligent viewers. "True or false?" A gleam in my eye. I knew she would never believe that. "True," she said. I was dejected. She had bested me. It was all true. Then, showing the power, intelligence, and wisdom that she possessed at a very young age, as most of her generation do, because they are spirit and magic workers who have come to the planet to heal it and overthrow the consumptive corporate capitalism that is destroying it, she said, the key to those tablets was putting on the entire person or corporation's name in its legal entirety, because only then could the magically created daemons manifested from air, water, earth, and fire travel their infinite strings and find the people or corporations who are to be the craven victims of in utter helplessness of these curses. To her I said, I was just talking about this subject of not giving out your full name ever to anyone, because if you do, sorcery and curse magic can then be used on you. She nodded. But I, dear listener, do not believe in curse magic, so it matters little to me. I said that to her, too, to which she replied, looking down at the laminate calendar upon which hundreds of groceries slid past every day, nurturing the common soul of humanity. She said, yes, magic only works when you believe in it. Excitedly, I said, exactly. It was a wonderful conversation, I tell you. That is good magic there, I said to her, and then turned around. And as I wandered to the car, thinking how fortunate I had been to meet such a woman, surely a wisdom to keening in the flesh, I recollected a story the immaculate, fearless Haruka Jigme Tromge told me once. It went like this. There were two lamas, a Gelugpa and a Nyingma, who were engaging in a magical war with one another. One would summon black magic spells through the practice of Vajakalaya and hurl them at the other lama, meaning to liberate his erroneous thinking. The other lama, the Gelugpa lama, would respond by doing arcane rituals of Yamantaka to free the other lama into Buddhahood by wrathful means. I mean, make him enlightened, right? After exchanging blows, so to speak, for a little while, the Gelugpa Lama did the dreaded lower activities, which are very secretive and very feared, with such focus and will that the deity Yamantaka himself manifested, 21 feet tall, 4 arms, 4 legs, holding a hammer and a purba, with horns and grimacing fangs, wearing the ornaments of the charnel ground, stomping and shouting, and making the sound, ha, ha! This arose in the Nyingma Lama's retreat hut, actually manifests in all of its divine flaming terror. The Lama, seeing Yamantaka, thought, ah, what a blessing! Yamantaka, inseparable from my own Yidam Vajakalaya, has come to bless me. This is how the Nyingma Lama thought. And by such pure thoughts, Yamantaka emanated blessings of body, speech, and mind, and empowered him. In this way, we have to understand how we perceive magic is how we experience it. So, if you take up the path of magic, my dear friends, I humbly beseech that you have a positive intentions and a pure view. And may your experience of the effects of the Scorpio eclipse also be one that is full of blessings. Good night, my dear friends.